Welcome to Milking the Franchise, the Cash Cow Chronicles, where me and Chris watch movies. Hello.
Hey,
Hi, Chris. Welcome to
listeners.
Season 2.
Yeah,
hi, everybody.
we're back.
Welcome, Dallas, Texas. Welcome, Medellin. Everywhere around the world. Hands up.
Mm-hmm.
Put your hands up.
Thanks for listening to our little show.
Yeah.
We're super happy to have you here. How you been, Tanner? We chatted a little bit last week, but I would love to hear how life's going for you.
Oh, it's going pretty good. I brought up last week about my old man fall, my tumble. And
that's right. Your numb knee.
My numb knee.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still kind of numb, I gotta say. It's a strange injury it hurts to like kneel on, but it doesn't hurt to walk, or there's no other pain, there's no like bruising or any it's strange. So I may have just destroyed all of my nerve cells right there. We'll see.
Yeah. Maybe Botox? Doing? That's my guess. Botox. Would that fix it?
Probably. It fixes everything else.
Great. Love it.
How the hell are you, Chris?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah. Just, I got my car back from the shop this week.
Ooh.
Which was, I had a lot of stuff wrong with it, so it was good to get it fixed up. But it's running like a dream now, and week's been good.
Is it cheaper to get your car fixed down there than it would be here, do you think?
Dude, so much cheaper. Actually, well, I don't know. I don't want this to be like a Columbia Stories podcast, but when I was living in Bucaramanga, you would just go to like this seedy part of town, and like there was just a guy with a wrench, and he would work on the car. And any parts you needed, you had to have them DoorDashed to him. We use a different app down here, but it's basically DoorDash. And you would like motor oil or spark plugs, you'd have to get on your app and order them so this guy could keep working on your car. It's a little more what we're used to in the States in Medellin, but I don't know. It was a trip. You just would like sit in a plastic chair and wait for this guy to like.
Did he look like Riddick?
What's that?
Did he look like Vin Diesel as Richard B. Riddick?
Oh, do you think it was Richard B. Riddick?
I'm assuming he wore those glasses and the black tank.
He was wearing those things,
holding a wrench.
Yeah, and there was a Middle Eastern man with like a prayer bead thing that was standing there, and like a little androgynous girl. Yeah, maybe it was Riddick. Maybe it was.
Well, that is ridiculous. Speaking of Riddick, hey Chris, what do we do here on this show? Tell the listeners what we do.
Well, Tanner, let's get down to brass tacks. We haven't. We've just been. That's right. We've just been circling here, but this is a show where we watch every episode.
It's a show. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, where we watch every movie in a movie franchise, and then we talk about it. So each episode kind of centers around one installment of a movie franchise, and along with the movies, we try to watch any TV shows, specials, read any books, graphic novels, comics, board games, like whatever other stuff we can find that goes along with it. Video games, absolutely. Yeah, Tanner's our video game guru, and we just kind of try to live in the franchise for a couple weeks, and see what stuff we can find.
And Chris, are you excited to live in the shoes of Dick B. Riddick?
Dick B. I don't know,
Richard B. Riddick. You don't know?
I don't know. Okay. We'll get into it with Pitch Black. It was.
It was a movie.
It was a movie.
This is a show, and that was a movie.
Of all the movies, it was one of them. So I think I'm kind of excited. It'll be cool going to space. Have we done a space series yet?
Did we?
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
I'd have to look, but
Highlander sort of went to space in number 2. They tried to shoehorn a space theme into it.
oh, that's right. That's true. Yep.
But no, not really. You're right.
Okay. So I'm excited to go to space with Vin Diesel. I think it'll be a good time. How about you?
It's gonna be more fun than doing like a Star Wars recap.
Oh,
Who
without a
wants
doubt.
that?
No, nobody needs that. We're not
I'm
doing
very-
Harry Potter. We're not doing Lord of the Rings. We're not doing Star Wars.
Regardless
doing
of
Riddick. Mhm.
yeah, regardless of like the quality of any of these movies, I'm excited to go through it. So, yeah. Normally, also on this podcast right now, we'd be going over the survey from the previous movie. But since it's the beginning of the season, we don't have one right now. So we're starting off fresh, and then next week, you'll take the survey for Pitch Black, and we'll read it at the beginning of next week's episode. So that's how this works. Chris, do you want to get into Pitch Black?
I mean, not really, but we should.
You didn't like it.
I'm just kidding. This movie was fine. I'm being way too hard on. Yeah, let's get into Pitch Black, Tanner. Where does this thing start?
On a ship. So the movie kind of opens.
They say most of your brain shuts down in cryosleep. Oh, but the animal side.
Guess that's why I'm still awake.
That's how the movie starts. That's the first fucking line.
Yeah, Vin Diesel is narrating. A bunch of people in cryosleep on a ship, and something happens. I'm still kind of unclear. Where like, I don't know. It looks like they're getting shot, but I guess it's like a meteor bits or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, they're crashing into the ship
or something. They didn't even know in the movie. They kind of handled them. Yeah.
At first, I thought it was something Riddick did, but because he's like, I'm still awake, plenty of time to escape or something. But anyway, it kind of gets shot up, and the people awaken from their cryo sleep a little bit early. They're crashing onto this planet. The main girl, what was her name?
They called her Fry at the beginning, but then at the end they stopped calling her that, and her name was something different. It was like
Carolyn Fry. So Fry's her last name.
There we go. That makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
She's kind of the tough, like, sub captain or whatever you call it. The captain backup. The captain dies in the opening sequence, and they're trying to land the ship, and they're kind of like, She teases or like thinks about maybe unloading all of the passengers because there's like 50 plus people on here, maybe more, to like lessen the weight of the ship. But she can't do it, and because she doesn't want to kill those people. But it kind of follows that string, like haunts her the rest of the movie a little bit.
It follows her around.
Yeah, almost killing everybody. But she doesn't. The ship crashes on this planet, and there's like maybe 10 survivors.
Yeah, 10 or so. They I mean, a lot of this movie is them dying off and us like, oh no, not that character, but they never invest in most of the characters. So Fry is one of the only ones that we care about. Yeah. They said in there that there were 40 people on the ship originally. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, they crash land after this meteor storm. Captain's dead. Ship's completely busted, and they're stuck on this desolate, remote planet with a bunch of weird CGI. Yeah.
So it's like super orange. It's a desert planet, but they tint it super orange.
Yeah.
And there's like super blue tints in other areas when it's like, I guess, in darker areas. But then inside it has a normal tint. Anytime they're inside a room. But yeah, did you catch who all these people were? Are they all prisoners?
No, they weren't. Only Riddick was a prisoner. And I can be a little bit of an authority today. I had to watch this a second time because I didn't understand it the first time. There were so many like plot things that I didn't get. And Tanner, listen to me. I'm smart. I wear glasses, and I had to watch it a second time.
I wear glasses, and I am questionably smart. So
so it kind of like introduces some of the characters at the beginning, and then we meet more of them throughout. But yeah, at the beginning we meet John.
You watched this twice?
I watched this twice
in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I watched it once on the stationary bike, and then I watched it again and took notes. And it actually worked great because I didn't have to.
And you
pause
watched it
the
again
second
on an
time.
actual bike. The second
Yes,
on your way to
on
the
the back of a
mechanic.
motorcycle. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
I think
the
I saw
main
this
character
movie
Steve
like 20 years ago as well, but I kind of just I don't even know. I don't remember any of it.
Perfect. I
Yeah.
had never seen it. We talked about this before, and we're getting way off track, but that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I had no idea what this was going to be. Like
Yeah.
Pitch Black, Riddick, Chronicles of Riddick. I just knew the names, and Vin Diesel was in it. Like this could have been literally anything to me. Turns out it's like a space mercenary story.
Yeah, so like this it
Yeah.
didn't start as like a Riddick franchise, I think they just well from what I read they just liked the character so much. Even he was supposed to die at the end, then they didn't have him die because they just liked him. And set it up for a sequel.
What
So
can you give me some examples of what makes him a character in this movie?
I think he's pretty like kind of a cool badass character in the anti-hero way, I do like the character. He's a little bit more restrained than most Vin Diesel. Dom Toretto or whatever. He's a little bit more just like creepy and weird and has Vin Diesel always just plays himself, and I feel like this is slightly more how Arnold was a perfect fit for Terminator. It's kind of like that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm
sorry. I think my
cynicism
is poking through. I need to rein it in.
Well, you love Vin Diesel, I thought.
I enjoy the Fast and Furious movies. We watched all
love
those
him.
Can't get enough.
Okay, so yeah, he's where I don't even know where we're at.
All right, so
he survives the landing as well, and he's strapped in, chained up. They don't want to unchain him because he's a super dangerous criminal, right?
Yes. So Vin Diesel's super dangerous criminal. One of the people on the boat is this guy named Johns. I think that's his last name, and he's like a cop. Who's like
John
assigned
Johns.
to deliver Riddick to this jail cell that he's going to. We meet Fry, and then there's a couple other characters that they introduce here, but we don't really get to know them very well. After the crash landing, Riddick, the dangerous criminal, is able to escape, and Johns has to go hunt him down. They don't want Riddick on the loose, so they're just kind of like they go on after him. They don't know anything about this planet or anything yet. There's so many funny little moments of him just like Riddick just kind of popping up randomly and like jumping into the scene. Yeah, at the beginning of the movie, did you see that scene where he was like, there's like a quick zoom in and he's just like chilling like on a lawn chair on top of something, watching everybody? What was that? Again, watch this twice. The antiquities dealer was just hanging out on top in like his fancy chair drinking wine. But that zoom shot was great. I thought that was a really nice touch. It zooms in on him and he's up there like drinking this guy's wine.
They're talking about how they don't know where he is, and then he's just like chilling.
Yeah, he's just there in broad daylight.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm getting way off track, but this guy, he has night vision eyes. Is that right?
Yeah. He had. I've got a.
Rein me in here, Chris. That. Yeah. Just help me out.
Yeah, we meet an antiquities dealer named Paris, who's going to die later, and then we meet the guy, the holy man, who it seems like is with us for a while in this series, and Johns is able to recapture Riddick, and Riddick escapes again, this time by dislocating both of his shoulders. In like a pretty gruesome escape scene.
Apparently, he performed that stunt himself.
No,
he didn't. Yeah. He like moved his arms back. I don't think he actually dislocated his shoulders, or maybe he did, but it said he did perform that stunt, whatever that meant. Performed the stunt.
That's impressive. He must be really flexible.
Yeah, the holy guys are Muslims, and the main guy is played by Keith David, who is probably at the time the most famous person here.
Yeah.
From Something About Mary, They Live, a whole bunch of 80s movies. Yeah. A good character actor.
Yep. He was great.
Yeah. I liked all the
Uh,
cast, honestly.
I thought they needed more star power. I
Yeah.
thought Keith David was great, but I thought that they could have gotten somebody better for Fry or for Jack. And I think it
Yeah, she was okay.
would have bumped it up a little bit for me.
Oh, one of the girls is named Shaza. She kind of dies early on, but it's played by Claudia Black, who is in the show that I'm watching with Rachel called Farscape. She's like one of the main stars.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And I'd never seen her anywhere. She was the Australian chick.
Uh-huh.
Also, yeah, you mentioned the star power. I mean, this movie had a pretty low budget, so it was like $20 million budget, something like that, 23.
For a sci-fi movie, that's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very low for a Hollywood movie, and I think that's a lot of the, you don't have a whole lot of star power, so that's, keeping the budget low. And then
Sure.
like the tints and like the stylized action and stuff like that is a way to like make it look interesting without having like amazing effects. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
keep the monsters in the dark so you don't have to see how shitty the CGI looks.
I thought the monsters were fine, honestly.
Yeah. But that's
some of those scenes were pretty cool.
I think if you had the full light access, they wouldn't look as good.
I think
but
you're totally right. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm also derailing. I'm
Plus,
derailing.
this movie's called Pitch Black. What are you going to do? Shoot the whole thing in the day? No way.
Exactly.
Can't do it.
What I like about this movie is that it's just a movie about some crash survivors on this planet. It is funny that they took this one character and kind of like extrapolated this whole, what we're going to see, the franchise out of Riddick, but it really had nothing to do with Riddick in the original.
The setup is kind of the same as the TV show Lost, where it's a bunch of strangers who crash land and you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of setup.
Or Castaway.
But there's a superhero there, or Castaway. Yeah.
I guess he's super. It is very fortunate that they crashed on a planet with no light, and this guy has night vision eyes.
Yes, that is very, very fortunate.
I mean, it could have had any weird. The planet could have had any weird, feature, but it happens to be that one that fits with him.
And maybe the next movie will have something. I mean, what? Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see where they go because his thing is these weird eyes, and they went to a dark planet already.
Yeah, I guess they're gonna have to go to only dark planets. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're on this planet. It also gets revealed in through here that the planet has not one, not two, but 3 suns. So the suns are never going to go down. It's going to be light out all the time. So even though they've come across some kind of creepy animals and it's a little dodgy, the creepy animals aren't coming out of the dark and they can just stay in the sun. So they go out to explore and we get our first, let's see.
Death?
Did we have our first death already?
I don't know. Some other things about the planet, though, it has low oxygen, so it's hard to breathe. They mention.
Yep.
And Riddick, like you said, keeps just escaping from all his tie-ups.
Yeah.
And one other thing is it mentioned that they were on their way to something called New Mecca, which I thought was. I am curious about the overall lore of this world, but
sure.
Yeah. What did you find? Did somebody die already?
No, we're not quite there. They go out to explore, and they think they see trees, and that's a good sign because they're out of water. But the trees turn out to be bones. There's just this huge boneyard, and everything looks like it's dead. They keep walking, and they find an abandoned space base, and the space base even has a plane that's mostly functional, so it looks like they'll be able to get off the planet. Unfortunately...
Real quick. Those skeletons. So they're giant, like mammoth skeletons.
Yes.
And they they're looking for Riddick, right? And he's like hiding on top of one of them, and then he's like inside of it, and they're having just a conversation about whatever. I think what's the guy's name? Johns is like talking to her about how she didn't release the prisoners or whatever, or release the people on the ship, and like I mentioned earlier, that came back up. But then Riddick is behind her through the bones, and she's like leaning up against it, and he like cuts off a little piece of her hair and smells it.
That was so weird.
Was that significant at all?
I don't know. Maybe I need to watch it a third time. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that part back up. Yeah. I totally forgot. Yeah, he like uses his little shiv to cut off a piece of her hair without her knowing. It's so strange. Such a weird scene.
Yeah, that never like came back or anything. I thought maybe
No.
he's gonna like try to clone her, or do something with her DNA, but it had nothing to do with that. It just was Riddick being weird.
Just being a weirdo. Yeah.
Okay, so
Uh,
yeah, they find the base like you mentioned with the ship,
mhm.
and they find out that there were other people that had lived there for a little while at some point, maybe like 20 years prior or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And that the sun and light runs everything, so everything's like solar powered on this planet. So they're like, oh, this is, you know, we're gonna have
Yeah.
everything running on solar power, no problems.
Yeah. There's water at the space base. Like it seems like a good little spot to hang out. Um, and at this point, we do have our first death. So they send out, there's this guy out looking for Riddick, and he finds this weird tunnel, and so he kind of goes in and gets totally destroyed, like dismembered. There's blood everywhere, and he gets like yanked down into this tunnel. Nobody saw it happen, and so Johns and Fry immediately blame Vin Diesel. But it wasn't him. It was these creatures below ground.
Yeah. But yeah, they do blame Riddick. There's also a death with like one of the survivors who comes like kind of like crawling up or like lumbering up, and they shoot him thinking it's Riddick, right? And so they
Yeah,
just kill one of the survivors. Yeah, anyway. So multiple deaths happen in just a few minutes.
yeah.
And then let's
And
see.
I can't stress this enough to characters that we could not give a shit about. Like
Yeah, no,
that guy
these are
who got
just
punched under, they were like, no. And it's like,
fodder or whatever. It's just
yeah,
like
yeah, like
just get these people in there to kill them. But that's okay. We need people to die, and only a few
yeah,
people that we care about.
yeah.
Um,
Gotta winnow down the herd until it's just the last couple.
so he mentions here. I don't know if he goes in the room yet, but he mentions that his eyes he can see in the dark, and that Riddick paid 20 menthol cools to get night vision eyes in prison. So he was in some like maximum prison that was like all dark, I guess. And he
Yeah,
just traded some cigarettes to have some surgeon put in his eyes. At least that's what he says in
they
this movie.
described it as a surgical shine job, which was no comment.
And the nickname for the prison is called the Slam. So I just thought the Slam. I guess the Slammer, but shortened. Pretty
Sure.
cool.
Yeah, and when they're talking about his eyes too, there's a character named Jack, who at this point in the movie is a boy. It's revealed later that it's a girl. But Jack is in there. Where the hell can you get eyes like that? And Vin Diesel goes, "Got to kill a few people." And Jack goes, "Okay, I can do it." It was such a weird scene. It's like, do you want these eyes? Is this a good thing?
It's
Anyway,
kind of
go
cool.
get your surgical shine job. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this Jack person kind of starts dressing and acting like Riddick a little bit. Like he's so cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They hint at it in that comic move, that TV show app that we watched too. So I think that'll be coming in the next couple movies.
Yeah, she likes him for sure.
Oh yeah.
What else happens here? He chugs a bottle of really expensive alcohol.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, we get to. There's a little bit of character development with Paris, the antiquities dealer, and everybody's kind of freaking out about Zeke, and so they decide they're going to go. They're going to send Fry basically down this hole to look around and see if they can find whatever killed. Again, Zeke, not a name that I don't know. They all yelled Zeke, but we never really got to meet him.
Yeah, he was the guy that went in the hole and he also shot the prisoner guy right before that.
Exactly.
Or not the prisoner,
yes,
but
that guy.
Survivor. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all we got about him.
Yep. And so Fry goes down roped up, and she sees a decapitated foot down there, so it's pretty clear that Riddick was not responsible for Zeke's death. And also sees all the aliens, right? So there's these huge bat creatures. We get our first glimpse at them. And she's barely able to escape up this weird, like, dirt tube. Um,
Yeah.
so that's all
So
the proof that they need.
I like these
Go ahead.
little claustrophobic scenes in this movie.
Yeah.
I think they're fairly effective. It's a cheap, low budget movie, so they do a lot of the tension in like these quieter moments, I guess. But yeah, I think it's after that. There's a scene of Vin Diesel. Oh wait, have the bats come yet? Sorry.
This is where we first see the bats,
Okay.
but we haven't. Shaza hasn't died. They haven't like killed anybody.
Got it.
Yeah, they she after they get her out of the cave, that's enough for them to know that Riddick isn't a killer. So Johns lets Riddick loose. So now he's kind of like amongst them, and they devise some plan. There isn't enough power in the little plane that they found, but they have power cells back at their crashed ship. So they're going to go back, get the power cells, and bring them back to the little plane so they can get off the planet. So the rest of the movie is kind of.
I'm glad you watched this twice because
I literally had to watch it twice to understand that level of this movie. Like, what is the point of this?
Yeah, kind of the back and forth. I get that they're trying to get off and that there's monsters and all that. That's easy, but I didn't realize that they travel all the way there. They had to go back and then back again. It's just kind of them traveling back and forth, right?
It's just kind of them walking. Like it ends up being a lot of this movie.
Yeah, so there's I think it's at this base. Is this the bat scene where like, let me know if I'm skipping ahead, but they like go into this place called the coring room.
Yep.
And one of the Muslim kids gets his face eaten by these bats.
Yep.
And he dies. There's a quick moment with Riddick. He's like, have you checked in this coring room or whatever the heck he says? And the girl is like on top hiding under this tarp. Do you remember that part?
I do remember that. Yeah.
So he pulls it off. And in that moment in real life, he tore a muscle in his shoulder or something like that. Like in that scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh, that's wild.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Wow. No, I love the little the movie trivia sprinkled in.
Tanner's tidbits.
The tids and bits, man, keep them coming.
Yeah. So one of the kids dies. And yeah.
And at this point, they kind of figured out like, hey, this space base isn't abandoned because the people who were here left. This space base is abandoned because these aliens killed everybody. And so, we have to be careful of all of this.
And they find out by looking at their little astronomy, whatever, it's the solar system thing, that there's going to be an eclipse at some point soon, right?
Oh, for sure there's going to be an eclipse. Yeah.
You're not afraid of the dark, are you?
I'm not the one you should be afraid of.
Finally found something worse than me, huh?
Mm-hmm. So we get Johns talking to Fry again, and he's basically saying he doesn't trust Riddick. Riddick's going to steal the plane and fly away. They need to kill Riddick. He knows he made a deal, but whatever, So like they don't really trust Riddick. Riddick isn't really trustworthy. Riddick doesn't really trust them either because he has great hearing and he probably heard all that. And we see him outside shaving his head with a knife. Have you ever shaved your head with a knife, Tanner?
Oh God, I wanted to get to that. With like motor oil too. I think he's using oil.
Yeah.
I haven't. I've shaved my balls with a knife though.
There's no way that's true.
Hey.
We'll leave it there. It's a mystery of the pod.
It happened in Thailand. All right.
Oh my. Yeah, where are we at here? What's happening?
The eclipse is coming. He's shaving his head with a knife, and they don't know if they can trust each other. And there's something they keep showing John's like shaking from the heat or shaking, and then it shows that he's like injecting drugs into his eyeball. And he's kind of hooked on morphine or the hype or whatever they call it. So then she's now.
It seems like that cyber sleep would have broken his addiction.
But that's a great point.
Chronic pain, though, I'm not going to weigh in on that. But it does seem like he has been off the hype for a long time.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know, like, if your body is processing anything when you're in cryo sleep, technically, you know what I mean? Like if you're just frozen in state, you know, because normally your body would kind of like work out the toxins and you'd get over it. You'd have like what am I trying to say? You'd have like side effects and stuff like that of getting over
Oh,
the drug.
sure.
But if you're frozen, maybe it just kind of like stops, but it picks up in the same spot.
Well, remember that they say most of your brain shuts down in cryosleep, all but the animal side. So it's really just a question of, does the morphine processing, is that like part of the animal side of the brain, or is that part of the rest of the brain?
Good question. I don't think we're going to find any answers in this movie.
I'll Google it after. I'll Google it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, now anyway. You see the girl Fry is kind of like, she sees that he's a drug addict and is kind of like, you're kind of shifting alliances in these moments here where you're like, oh well, Riddick might not be such a bad guy and now this guy seems worse, right? So that's kind of slowly happening.
And it's revealed he's not even a cop. He's a mercenary. He's delivering for money. He's not even like working on the side of the law.
Yeah, he was faking a cop when they landed because nobody really knew each other on this thing. It's not like they were all crewmates.
Right.
So that is all happening. He honestly, I could tell that he was going to be the real bad guy right off the bat. So it wasn't like a big twist to me. Yeah. But maybe that's because I already knew that Riddick turns out to be I knew he turns into a franchise. So who knows at the time what people actually thought.
Sure.
Anyways.
So they've set up this eclipse. And we need, how on earth is there an eclipse with 3 suns, Tanner? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, the planets.
3 suns! That's
I know.
All 3 of them.
Yes, but did you see there's in between the suns is Saturn? Like a giant ringed planet in between in their solar system. So this giant planet comes in between the suns. I don't know how it works.
Neither do I. It's the most confusing eclipse ever. And they go into much detail later about how this eclipse might go on forever. Like it's not just going to pass in like, I don't know. How long does an eclipse last on Earth?
Probably only like an hour or something. Yeah, at the most.
Yeah. Anyway,
but this was again like that's the moon passing in front of the sun. This is a giant planet that seems like it's taking up the entire skyline, passing in front of the suns.
Right. Again, the 3 suns thing is kind of a problem for me. But whatever.
My 3 suns. That was the original working title for this.
All right, fine, Tanner. You win this one. So we got this big eclipse coming. In the meantime, they kind of have pieced together that this eclipse is coming. They had like left some little clues about it at the space base that they had found. So they head back to the crash site to pick up the power cores, the energy cores. And at this point, the eclipse hits. We see. I also want to take a point. I feel like they designed those energy cores just so they would look cool when people carried them. What do you think?
I
those
didn't
dudes
really clock any of them.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like Vin Diesel with like one over each shoulder, like looking so masculine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, nah, bro, this guy.
He does look cool with those glasses, I can tell you that.
Oh, you ain't wrong there.
His goggles.
Mm-hmm.
So the eclipse happens. And everything's, they get in like a solar powered car to do something. What do? They try to like last minute, they hop in the solar powered car, right?
Were they trying to beat the eclipse back to the space base? Was that the plan?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, because it didn't really seem like they were ready at all for the eclipse to get there. All of them were outside.
No, they realized that it could happen. Then it just immediately happened. Like right after that, even though it only happens like once every 20 years or whatever the heck it was. Yeah. Maybe it happens once a year. I don't know. Did they mention that?
They never like nailed that down any more than what we've already talked about.
So yeah, they get in the car, try to go as far as they can, then it dies. And now it's officially pitch black. A few of them make it back to one of the base doorways, and then it's Vin Diesel and Shazaa, the girl from Farscape, and they're running away. The bats start coming out, right?
I also think this is the first scene where Shazaa showed up.
No,
Like,
she was in
was
like
she in this
beginning
movie
of the
before
movie.
this? Okay.
Yes, because I recognized her right away, and she stuck out
Oh,
because I
that's right.
knew
'Cause
who
you're
she
watching her in
was.
another show. Okay.
So she was there with the survivors. She had some lines and some bits throughout the movie.
Yeah, fine.
You watched it twice, Chris. Come on.
I know I did, and I was like, "Where are these characters coming from?" We just like they're just we need a new one to kill. Let's elevate this thing. This person we haven't even
I
showed
felt
in the
like
movie yet.
she had a little bit of a she didn't have much personality, but she was in there for a bit.
Yeah, but they named her
Anyway,
Shazaa, which made up for the lack of personality.
Sharon Shazaa Montgomery. She has a full name.
Wow. Okay. Dick B.
Uh,
Shazaa.
I love all these people's names too. William J.
Yeah.
Johns, Richard B. Riddick. Ugh.
Amazing.
I can't believe
Poetry,
it's
dude.
Richard
Is that a
B.
haiku? Is that a haiku? Just Richard B. Riddick?
Richard B. Riddick.
Count
Yeah.
the syllables real quick. Yeah.
Okay, so the bats start coming up. There's a scene of like, the darkness hits and all these creatures start coming out of these like the little tubes or whatever out of the ground.
Yeah.
They start breaking down, and he says, what does Riddick say? Beautiful. As the bats are coming out, it looks pretty cool, and they come swarming in, and they eat Shazaa alive. But Riddick gets out of there.
He does, just by laying on the ground.
Yep. So yeah, staying low works, I guess.
That's all you got to do.
And then they just shows more creatures coming out, and they're like, "Oh shit, do I even want to know what you're seeing?" He's like, "Nah, no, bro." But so he's got his night vision, and there's a lot of different tints and like ways of showing like everybody's vision has a different way of being filmed, right? Like his is kind of like this like purpley kind of night vision thing with lights, and then maybe
we also see the sonar from the bats. It's like this weird, And I'm sure when this movie came out, it was pretty cool, but some of those scenes haven't aged super well. I didn't.
Well, wait, are you talking about the black and white stuff?
Yeah, the black and white in particular.
Yeah, from all the creatures, they have that where it's like, if you've seen the poster for the movie, where it's like this black and white kind of like starry burst looking effect.
Yeah,
that's like what they see. So
okay.
Yeah. Anyway. So where do we go here? What happens?
Well, they kind of collect. They figure out one of these creatures gets in, and because they've now gone inside, they realize that it's bad to be outside now that it's dark, and they realize that light actually hurts the aliens, so it like causes boils and blisters, and so the aliens are going to stay away from light. So they gather all of the light sources, plus these like energy cells to get the ship to fly. And they develop this plan where they're just going to take the energy cells from their broken ship to this little ship through the dark. They decide that the high priority is to get moving and get this mission underway because they don't really have a lot of food. They don't really have much of anything. So they got to kind of get going, and they don't know how long the eclipse is going to last for.
Right.
So they decide they're going to go out at night.
Go out at night with a bunch of lights. Right before they get all the lights, Hassan dies, which is one of the Muslim guys, gets clawed by one of the big monsters. And Riddick, it shows like Riddick being blinded by a flashlight at one point. So he's really affected by lights when he doesn't have those goggles on.
It's from that surgical shine job, baby.
Surgical shine. Yeah, and he mentions check your cuts. These things know our blood now. So like, it mentions that they know the blood, which will come into play in just a little bit here. They can smell the blood, and so can Vin Diesel. Maybe we'll talk about that. They set off with all these blue like neon tubes.
What are those?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, I was going to ask you.
I don't know. They're like these like hoses, but they're glow sticks, and they pull them out of the walls of their ship. I don't understand what they are.
They're just like glowing light tubes. That's as best I can do. Like glowing ropes.
Yes.
Yeah. So they wrap them all around each other and around the cores, and they have like a sled or whatever that they're dragging it along. And they're all tied to it. But of course, shit goes wrong really fast.
Right away. Yeah.
Paris, the antiquities dealer or whatever, he Jack like drops something. The boy, who's later revealed to be a girl, but he hasn't yet, drops something and kind of tries to grab it, and then, like, I don't know. Paris starts crawling away and pulls all the lights and breaks the light machine,
Yep.
and fucks everybody over. And then he dies pretty quickly
Mhm.
after that. He says, "I was supposed to die in France," and then there's a quick shot of him, like, you get like a little bit of light, it's all dark, and there's like 20 creatures like all surrounding him.
I did
Which
like that shot.
was a
Yeah.
quick little shot of that, and then you just know he's dead. They don't really show it, but I like that too.
They do show him getting ripped up in in Riddick Vision, I think.
Oh, they maybe, yeah.
I think they do, but yeah.
Riddick Vision.
Bye, Paris.
Bye, Paris. So yeah, so what even happens? They're kind of like talking again, maybe figuring out some kind of light source or what to do.
Yeah, they're using like a welding torch, and then they have bottles of booze that they're like lighting the top on fire to use as fuel, because Paris.
Yeah, somehow they turned whiskey bottles into like a forever torch with like a. I don't know how they did that so quickly. Like, they have a little wick thing hanging down, and it's like pulling up some of the whiskey. But that's what they did. And then they reveal here that Jack is actually a girl, because Riddick says, what does he say exactly?
He says that the girl is bleeding, is what he said. And then at this point, the only woman in the group is Fry.
Yeah.
And so everybody looks to her, and they're like, well, she's not bleeding. And Riddick goes, not her.
But he's referring to, she's on her period.
Yes. So
Jack, he can smell, Riddick can smell menstruation.
Yes. In this insane Eclipse Monsters movie, one of the main plot points is that a cross-dressing girl on her period can be smelled by the monsters.
And Riddick can also. Insane. I just love that Riddick can smell it. That's so weird.
Riddick knows too. So Jack has been pretending to be a boy because Jack thought that this would be a better way, to get off the island or the planet or whatever. And like, if they thought he was a boy, that he could do more and would be a better use on the team or something. Yeah. So that was his plan, or her plan.
Yeah. And they say, John says, like, stuff a cork in this kid or something like that.
He sure does.
Yeah, that doesn't really come back into play, but I guess they can just smell where they are because she's bleeding. And let's see.
Through here,
I don't even know. They're just kind of traveling and fighting. And what happened? What's that?
Well, John says to Carolyn after he I think he knocks her down, and he goes, "Oh, Carolyn, how much do you weigh now?" And then it changes scenes. That was supposed to be like a sick burn line, and I don't understand what it means. Did you understand that line?
I have no idea what that means.
Okay, great. Okay. I will move on. Now? Yeah.
I think it was some kind of callback to the weight of the ship where she was going to dump the people. Something, maybe making her feel bad about that again.
Okay. Maybe that probably, it always came back to that with her character. So, okay. Yeah. In this part too, Johns basically approaches Riddick, and he's like, yo, what if we used one of these other fools as bait? If we kill one of the last 5 of us, then the other 4 could make it across, because all of the evil creatures would be focused on the dead one. So he's trying to get Riddick to kill one of these other people, and Riddick doesn't really dig that, so they get in a big fight. And do you want to talk about the fight at all, Tanner?
I don't really have anything on it.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of a whatever fight, but at the very end, Riddick slashes John's back open, and again, the monsters can smell blood, so that's kind of a...
I didn't catch that. I thought the monster just got him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So then the monsters do get him, and he gets impaled and his head crushed by one of them.
Yeah.
One of the more brutal little scenes. And right after that, he goes back to the group, and the group's like, "Where's John's?" And he says, "Which half?" So he's got
such a good Vin Diesel line. Such a good Vin Diesel line.
Yeah, and so now there's just more traveling. They're whittling down the survivors here. The monsters are killing each other in the sky, and they're like running through like a valley. Do you know
Why
why
were
they're
they doing that?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't either.
They're like, oh, they're
I watched
killing each other.
watched it twice. I didn't pick it up either time.
Maybe they just kill anything they see. I don't know.
Yeah.
At one point,
I feel
Riddick
like we need in the survey, Tanner. I feel like we need in the survey this week. Like Chris and Tanner clearly have a lot of questions. Can you help? And so if you're listening and you can like fill in some of these blanks for us. I don't know why the creatures were killing each other.
Yeah, there's a Riddick subreddit, so we'll post
Okay.
on there.
Great.
Hopefully get some answers.
Yep.
At one point he comes face to face with one of these creatures and like punches the guts out of it.
Yeah, I did.
And
He did
says,
not know who he's fucking with. Was that the line? Is that the right spot for that?
Yep. And then so they're still going, moving through the place, and it starts raining, and now their fires are gonna get put out.
Yep.
And oh fuck, that's not good. And
Where's
one of the
your dad
kids,
now?
the last one to die, I think. Oh no, wait. Yeah, the last of the Muslim kids gets taken up a cliffside by one of the monsters. Now he's gone. And they find a little hidey hole in this like cliffside, and Riddick puts him in there. Yeah. And it's just dark. They're kind of in a perfect little cave there. Riddick goes back to the ship, and it looks like maybe he's just going to leave him. And then like shuts the door and stuff like that, gets the ship going. And then these survivors, the last three, are in this cave, and all these bugs start illuminating out of nowhere. And there's like hundreds of them, and there's little blue illuminated bugs. So luckily they have that. They stuff them in the alcohol bottles they were using as torches, and now they have these illuminated bottles, which I guess is enough. Any light is enough to save them. Is that right?
I guess it really seemed. Yeah, I don't know.
I like these bugs. It was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, I love the visual of Fry carrying like a Jack Daniels bottle that's blue and glowing is pretty cool. But I don't know
visuals here
without a doubt. Yeah. So anyway, Riddick is back at his boat, and Fry shows up, and Fry is like trying to convince him to come back and help save. At this point, it's just Jack and the Holy Man. Is that right?
Yeah, this is Jack.
We're down to 4 characters, right?
And Keith David, Fry, and Riddick left. Yeah.
Yep. So Fry is trying to convince Riddick to go back and help save Keith David and Jack. And he doesn't seem to be changing his mind. And he's like, no, you should come with me. We're already back at the boat. Let's just get out of here. F these bugs. And he almost seems to convince her. But at the last moment, she like thinks about all the guilt that she's been dealing with for not killing people the last time. And kind of decides like, no, we're going to go. So she attacks Riddick, like tackles him into this big mud puddle. And sure enough, back at the cave, when they pull the stone away, there's Riddick and Fry are there to help bring
the survivors
back to the boat. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so they do that. There's another just running scene. This time Riddick is the one that gets left behind without a light. And
also, without a light thing I don't think Fry and Riddick brought any light from the boat back to the cave.
The boat, the ship.
Because when the ship, they had light there, but they didn't bring it.
Well, she has the whiskey bottle.
No, they left that. Then they went back up with the 2 whiskey bottles that Keith David and Jack. Anyway, I think it was like a oversight, but whatever.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Riddick gets left behind a little bit, and now they're all back at the ship, and they're like, let's just go. Like, he's probably dead. But then you hear screaming. And Riddick is having... This is another thing that I was confused about. Riddick is having, like, a face-to-face with this alien, right? And, like... Like, face-to-face, like, right up to it, and it's not attacking him. What, how, and why?
Oh, the blind spot, Tanner. This was another thing I picked up on watch number 2.
Okay.
He figures out earlier in the movie that the way their skulls are shaped, they have a blind spot in between their eyes. And so he is mirroring its movement to hide in the blind spot. It's pretty ridiculous.
That's what it was. Okay, that's kind of what
pretty
I thought.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. And it keeps showing it from like its vision with the black and white burst looking thing or like static.
So crazy.
And then another monster kind of walks into view and then it sees him. So I don't even know what even happens here. He runs away.
Well, we're about dead. He gets away somehow, and
she comes to save him because she's like, "No, I'm not going to leave him. He didn't leave us."
That's what it is. Yep, he didn't leave us. We're going to save him. So she goes back, saves Riddick, but the creatures grab her. I thought they were going to have a nice little kiss. I thought this was their little moment, but nope.
Really,
Fry
I didn't get
almost
any
to the
sexual
end.
feelings at all. I got no sexual feelings in this movie.
You didn't think they were going to have like a nice little peck at the end? Nice little pecker?
I didn't feel that way at all. No, I thought. Yeah, it didn't even. I don't know. I didn't think there was any chemistry. I feel like Vin Diesel is completely asexual, right? Don't they talk about that in the Fast and the Furious movies? How he's like never really, it's like he's
married. He's married to what's her name, Michelle Rodriguez in those movies.
I guess so. Maybe I'm thinking of The Rock in those movies.
Do you want to see like full penetration with those two to prove
never,
it?
Like kissed anybody in a movie or something.
Oh, maybe that's it. Yeah.
Anyway, no, I just feel like Vin Diesel's one of those. I don't know. Those like muscular actors sometimes are just weird whenever they have romance because they're so stiff and wooden, and there's like no chemistry.
That's fair, and maybe that's why they killed her off. You know what I mean? So that they didn't have to like acknowledge that in the next movie.
Spoilers:
you know
she dies right here.
Right here. Yep. Spoilers for what we're about to say.
They're getting out of there, and she gets stabbed in the. I don't know how it happens. There's like a quick moment. I thought maybe it tried to imply that she was going to stab him, but then she gets taken away by a monster. Was there something I missed in that?
Because the way they shot it, I thought was supposed to look like maybe he was going to kill her.
Yeah.
But then that wasn't it. The aliens got her. So
yeah.
Anyway, so they get back to the boat. There's only 3 people left: Riddick, the priest, and Jack. And they're about to leave, but Riddick waits to be surrounded by aliens. So when they take off, he will kill all the aliens.
And he turns off the ship, and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" The monsters are coming. You think he's lost his mind, and that he's like just like gonna kill everybody again. Yeah. But yeah, he turns on the boosters and fries all those aliens. And he says, "We can't leave here without saying goodnight." And then turns on the ship and kills a bunch. And yeah, they leave the planet. They are the survivors.
That's it.
And he mentions at the end, like, we'll tell him Riddick died on that planet. So, like, they won't know that he's the escaped criminal Riddick.
Right, because he's still wanted for murder at this point. Yeah.
Right. Well, Chris?
Yeah,
that's
buddy.
Pitch Black.
That's Pitch Black. I mean, man.
You watched it twice, so I assume you loved it.
I don't know that I'd go that far. It was a mostly entertaining movie. Yeah, I would say I liked it. I would give it probably a 6 out of 10, maybe a 6.5. I didn't love it. I thought that, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these like space mercenary movies, like we've seen a lot of them that are better than this, like Firefly and Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's just a lot of other stuff out there where the characters are a little more fun or colorful or something. And this one felt like the whole plot felt kind of contrived to me. Like they came up with the name Pitch Black and then designed a character and a story to fit with that. But having said all that, I think those are my only qualms. The rest of it, like, it's a pretty fun action movie. Like I liked this, the bad guys and, the CGI and, some of their running through the desert. It was kind of too hard to follow for me, even though I wear glasses.
Even though there was like no plot, it was hard to follow.
Yes. What did you think of this thing?
That's not a good sign.
Yeah. What did you think of this thing?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I'd maybe do like a 7 out of 10.
Ooh.
And a lot of points for like, it being like a low budget, kind of like just, this is before any of them were famous, before Vin Diesel was really famous and all that. So, it's kind of like a passion project for this director, right? And so there's
Sure.
points for being like a low budget, like inventive stuff. You know what I mean? So
And
where
they did do some like weird stuff with the cinematography. Like they were
yeah.
trying, like they did.
It actually won the Australian Cinematographers Award that year. Very
The
specific.
Aussie Cineas. It won an Aussie Cine?
Aussie Cineas, yeah.
The Aussie Cineas.
Yeah, I think it apparently the script was based on an early draft of Alien 3 that the director and writer had worked on. So he was like a writer before he directed anything. And he did like an early draft of Alien 3 about like a space prison.
Dude,
which I think
which is Alien 3.
Doesn't it kind of it feels like Alien a little bit, right? A lot of this.
It does feel like Alien. Yeah.
So yeah, and then like I mentioned before, I like the character of Riddick. I think with the eyes and all that, it's kind of cool. He kind of looks cool. I'm curious to see what they do with his where his chronicles take us. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. But it's kind of an interesting, just like one-off movie, and then they pulled this character out to like extrapolate into a franchise, which is an interesting thing. It's kind of a rare thing for a franchise to start kind of like that.
With a name like Dick B. Riddick, though, what are you not going to give him a sequel?
I can't believe his name is Richard B. Riddick. That's so bad.
Yeah.
Like the Riddick name is cool, but Richard B. All right. So yeah, did you like
Richard B. Riddick and Johnny B. Good, baby?
Do you think all right, so the box office, before I ask you that, was $53 million on a $23 million budget. So it was kind of a sleeper hit. It made some money, not like a huge thing, but Vin Diesel loved it, and the director liked it, and kind of had a cult following afterwards. So they did make the sequel in 2000, like 4 years later, it looks like, which we'll talk about next time. But Chris, did you like the Riddick character as far as like, should there be more sequels with him? Or would you rather have seen like a Pitch Black sequel on this planet? Because I don't like this planet's done. You know what I mean?
Planet's done. Yeah. No, I think he is probably the most interesting thing in this movie. Right? Yeah. So I feel like there's room for more space adventures. I just thought that this particular space adventure was a 6 out of 10. Because it was kind of hard to follow, and I don't know.
Cool. So you think it warrants a sequel? Or did you think it would have been better as a one-off kind of fun movie?
Well, this was also, where was this in Vin Diesel's career? Because I feel like this is like such quintessential Vin Diesel. Is this after Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah, it's after Saving Private Ryan, which I saw a bunch. As a kid, I probably watched it like 5 times, and I never really remember him from it. I know he's in it. This is like watching his career, but I don't remember him in it at all.
It just seems like such classic Vin Diesel at this point. You know what I mean? It's like this is Dominic Toretto just in space.
So he had done Saving Private Ryan, and he was the voice of the Iron Giant.
He was the Iron Giant. I love that movie. That's such a good one.
I can't believe I forgot he was the voice of that. That's so funny. This was before Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
1 year before that. So he was just kind of coming on. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was his first big like star-making movie for sure, though.
Yeah. I feel like after Fast and the Furious came out, it's a no-brainer to greenlight a sequel. But even after the first one, this was a pretty fun. I don't know. There's not a lot of like space blockbusters like this, and it was, there are others like I mentioned before, but like I don't know, it was fun enough. I think it's ready for a sequel. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. Obviously it happened. I don't know if it really warranted a sequel, and like his character was that strong enough, but I do like it, and I'm curious to see where it went.
I'm curious to see if they like try and develop his character, or if they just do the he has weird eyes thing and he's a badass, like where they're gonna go with it.
Yeah.
But we'll get there next time.
It's his entire chronicles, so I'm sure there's gonna be a lot.
So not just one
Um,
Chronicle.
yeah. So
Yeah.
they went big for the second one though. The next one has like $100 million budget. So they're like, oh, this was a small hit. Let's fuck. And Vin Diesel's getting big. Let's go all in on
Yep.
Vin. We'll see if it
I love
works
it.
out. Chris, is this movie timeless or a time capsule? This is like early 2000, pre 9/11 CGI and effects. What do you think?
It feels like a time capsule to me. I think
Yeah.
that the story isn't tight enough to get made these days. Like I don't think you could make this movie because it's not tightly enough written.
Okay. Cool.
And I don't know. And then some of the visuals are dated a little bit.
Yeah, I'll probably agree with you there.
Yeah.
As far as the time capsule thing.
But it was still fun to watch. Like I lived during when this came out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like it's a fun watch, but it's not. I would not call this like an ultimate classic. People aren't going to be watching this in 50 years, I don't think. But
maybe
who knows?
Maybe not.
Who
Well,
knows?
after Vin Diesel becomes
Yeah.
president, it'll be required viewing.
That's true. And yeah, who knows? Maybe the Riddick series, the rest of it, we love it so much that it'll be around forever. Yeah.
You know, kids saw his amazing work in Guardians of the Galaxy as Groot, and then they'll go back through his filmography.
So he was Iron Giant and Groot, huh?
Yeah, isn't that
what a career, man! I love it.
I can't believe that they gave him the Iron Giant that early in his career too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
seems like a weird choice at that time. Like Groot kind of is funny and like makes sense because it's like, oh, it's Vin Diesel doing that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Oompa Loompa played by Hugh Grant. It's like, oh, that's kind of an odd choice. Anyways, anything else you want to talk about? Let's see. I've got the only tidbit I have that we haven't talked about, I think, is that apparently his contacts were like some kind of special they're contacts that he wears in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that he had to have somebody fly out, some kind of doctor fly to the set and have them remove them every day or something like that because he couldn't get his contacts out.
Oh, I guess they're like kind of bigger than normal contacts would be, aren't they? Because they cover your whole.
I guess so. Yeah, it was like a prototype or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Thought that was kind of crazy. Yeah, so they tried to remove him, but they couldn't due to where they were filming. They had to have an optometrist flown in 3 hours away. Vin Diesel called the contact.
Wait, so they flew this dude in every day? He didn't like work on set. He just like
maybe.
What a weird way to
or
do.
Maybe it's just the first day. This just says the first day, so I don't know. Maybe they got it figured out. Diesel called the contacts hubcaps. So yeah, they must have been like big ass contacts or something.
Yeah.
I really got to get these hubcaps out of my mouth. Anyway,
I mean, when you want a surgical shine job, dude, it doesn't come easy. It's a price to pay.
These contacts were briefly available from the public from LensQuest following the release of the film. They were called Shine Job, like in the movie.
No way.
That's what it says.
Tanner, I wish that we had made this episode of this show when those were available. What can you think of better milk for our show than putting on Vin Diesel contacts from Pitch Black?
Oh my God. And just like having to go to the emergency room to get him taken out.
No, dude, just helicopter in an optometrist. It's not that hard.
Oh, that's funny. Give me the Shine Job eyes. So there's the movie tie-in that we were looking for. Perfect.
Yeah.
Or the product tie-in.
We should look on eBay and see if those things exist.
Oh my God, let's do it. Okay. How do you think this is the director, David Twohy?
Mm-hmm.
How would you pronounce that? Twohy. Twohy.
Great question.
Twohy.
Oh, he did The Fugitive. I don't know how you say his name, but I like The Fugitive a lot.
Yeah, he was a writer. He wrote Warlock, The Fugitive, Waterworld, G.I. Jane. But I think this was his first. Oh no, he directed The Arrival. I don't know what that is.
Oh, The Arrival.
With
Isn't
Charlie
that Jodie
Sheen.
Foster movie?
No, that's Contact. I think you're thinking of. Anyways.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, he's really only done the Riddick movies since then too. He just kind of stuck to Riddick, and I think there's even a fourth one coming out. So maybe next year, Chris, if we're still doing this, we can go see that in theaters.
I would love to.
Um,
That's fantastic. We can wear our Shine Job contacts.
oh my god! Oh, I know what I'm dressing up for Halloween. I'm gonna have to
You
get
guys
in
get
shape.
my costume, right? Famous movie character from 2006.
You know,
Yeah, come on, guys.
Shine Job, ring any bells?
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got on Pitch Black, Chris. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we covered Pitch Black. Should we talk about the other little thing that we watched this week?
Yeah, so the last portion of the show is called the Milk segment, which is just usually we talk about the books or the video games or whatever. This one is we both watched the connected short film, The Chronicles of Riddick: Dark Fury. And this came out at the same time, maybe like right before or released simultaneously as The Chronicles of Riddick in 2004. And it serves as
this is an extra Chronicle of Riddick.
Yeah, this is the first Chronicle, or the second. Sure. I guess it'd be the second, but it serves as a link between the two movies. So it picks up immediately after Pitch Black, and they're on the ship. And there's even a quote where they're like, "We could." At the end of the movie, he says, "We could be picked up by a Merc ship or something." And here it is. It starts right in that moment, and they get picked up by a Merc ship.
Yep, just like that.
Yeah, so in this cartoon, it's an animated thing done by the people who did the Animatrix, which was like the Matrix animated segue stories as well. It took place in between like the sequels and stuff like that. I remember it was a big deal when it came out. But it has all the same cast. We got Vin Diesel and Keith David, Rhianna Griffith reprising their roles. And yeah, Chris, what happens in this movie?
Man, good question. When I read that it was like a connected thing, I thought this movie doesn't need to be a thing. I didn't think. In this thing, they get scooped up by a Merc ship. The people on the Merc ship are clearly evil. They come down, and there's like a gunfight. They come out in this like blaze of smoke. You'll have to forgive me. I did not take notes on this, so I'm just going off the top of the dome on this.
I got a little bit. Well, Chris, this is what it's about according to IMDb.
Oh, hit me.
This is a man battles soldiers and vicious creatures.
That's about right. It's a little more than that because the person who actually runs this Merc ship has been
any man.
This woman has been collecting killers and putting them in stasis because that is art, and so she is collecting pieces of artists. I'm not quite sure, but basically,
it's like freezing dangerous people. Yeah.
Yes, and that's like her whole thing.
She wants to add Riddick to her collection.
Yes, because he's like such a. I mean, probably because of those dope eyes, if we're being honest. But yeah, that's her plan.
I just love that description, though. A man battles soldiers. That's it.
It could be anything. Any movie.
Something happens. Yeah, so it's just them. It's 30 minutes long, and he battles some creatures on this ship in the dark. They turn off all the lights so that he can use his special night vision.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just him battling a bunch of random mercs. There's a quick moment where he looks at one of them and it says like Furya, Furya, killer of men. One of the art people. And I know just a little connective thing. I don't know how it's going to connect at all, but I know that the newest sequel that's in development is called Furya. So it's about that guy maybe or something. Anyways.
Okay.
And I don't know if they had that planned, but this was made in 2004 and this movie's planned to come out like next year maybe. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the bad guys end up getting killed, and except for one dude, I feel like we're going to see him in the next movie. That dude at the end, like with the brown hair. Do you know what I'm talking about? I feel like that was like a little Easter egg for the next one, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, there's a few things I did see that tie it. Yes, he is going to be in the next movie. And
Okay.
I think what happens at the very end of this movie is why it's a connective tissue. And maybe I'll talk about that next week. So
Okay.
we don't spoil anything. But he leaves. The movie ends where he leaves. He drops Keith David and Jack off at New Mecca. So like they escape from the Merc ship. This guy says we'll meet again, blah blah blah, and then he drops them off at this New Mecca planet.
Yep.
And goes off on his own. So I think that's where the connective tissue is right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you don't think Keith David and Jack are going to be in the next one?
I do think they are, but
they're not going to start together.
It's going to be like
that.
years and years later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to watch it and see what's going on in the Chronicles of Riddick. This, like I said, this was new to me, and I'm excited to watch the next one too.
Yeah. What did you, based on what you thought, what were your expectations versus the reality?
I had no expectations for this because I had no idea what it was going to be. I think from it kind of got like, I kind of pieced together that it was an alien movie partway through. Yeah, I don't know. It's a Vin Diesel alien movie. It's fun. I don't know.
What else do you need to know?
Yeah, what else do you need to know? That's my 5-word review.
It's a Vin Diesel alien movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun. Cool. Well, that's gonna do it then. Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's all we got this week. Make sure to check in the show notes. We have a link posted for a survey. So Tanner and I are going to put together some jokey questions, and we would love it if you guys could help by going through and making the jokes right there along with us. And the answers that we get, we'll read on the show next week when we're talking about the Chronicles of Riddick.
Hell yes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you then.
Bye.